2014. It's a workshop meeting. The notice requirements provided for the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting is properly given by transmission to the Asbury Park Press, the Star Ledger, the Independent, Two River Times, and by posting at the Middletown Township Municipal Building and filing with the Township Clerk of Law on January 10, 2014. Roll call, Committeeman Fiore.
Here.
Committeeman South.
Here.
Committeeman Scharpenberger.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sedembrino.
Here.
Mayor Murray. Here.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to request a moment of silence to honor the troops serving worldwide to defend their freedom and way of life. Thank you. First item on the agenda is Resolution 13-181, a resolution authorizing the approval of Ordinance 2014-3109, private athletic fields.
Should do the resolution.
What was first?
The resolution first, right, the special finding before the adoption. Or the non-vote.
But that was the resolution for the special.
Yeah. The resolution, I'll go to the resolution before the adoption. So for the resolution?
That was for the yes, that was on the resolution.
The resolution first.
Showing the special findings
Yeah.
of the planning board.
Yeah.
And we had a motion by Mayor and Mr. Kevin. Committeeman Fiore?
Yes.
Committeeman Massell?
Yes.
Committeeman Scharpenberger?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sedembrino?
Yes.
And Mayor Murray?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the public hearing on ordinance 2014-3109, an ordinance amending and supplementing land use code establishing definition and standards for private athletic fields.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak for 2014-3109? Mr. Watson?
Hi, my name's Don Watson, 1 Collinson Drive. I just have one question. I think I remember reading something in the ordinance about setbacks and stuff. Was there something in there about setbacks?
Yes.
There was. So are the existing private fields grandfathered in? They don't apply to the setbacks? The setbacks don't apply to the existing
I'm not
field?
sure which existing private field.
Say the field at Modern Day?
That's not considered a private field. That's part of an educational facility. This applies
falls
to
under-
private
private-
properties that aren't
Private
schools.
educational facility?
Not
No,
necessarily
it
education.
just applies to private properties.
It's not necessarily a private educational
it's-
facility?
It would not.
This applies to properties that are only being used for fields. They're not being used for a school with fields. That's a whole
It's not an
different, it's a whole different set of
accessory
rules
use
for that.
Yeah, it's a different.
This is a property that's, the only use of the property is going to be fields.
On private property?
There's no school associated with it or anything.
On private property?
On private property, yeah. So
Okay.
there aren't any examples of it, actually.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
But there are setbacks in there. There are setbacks.
Right, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no other members of the public wishing to speak to 2014-3109, I move to close public portion of the debate.
Committeeman Fiore?
Yes.
Committeeman Massell?
Yes.
Committeeman Scharpenberger?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sedembrino?
Yes.
And Mayor Murray?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt ordinance 2014-3109. Next on the agenda is a public hearing for ordinance 2014-3111, a bond ordinance for capital budget items.
Anyone wishing to speak to 2014-3111? Seeing no other, Mr. Watson?
Hi, my name's Don Watson, 1 Collinson Drive in New Monmouth. I have a couple of questions here. I was wondering about what type of improvements are going to be at the Art Center. Does anybody know what that is?
Yeah, it's an upgrade to their heating and air conditioning system.
Okay, and it's also improvements. What are, do you know what the improvements are going to be?
Middletown Art Center?
Yes. It says improvements to the Art Center, and it also says heating and ventilation and air conditioning.
Oh, yeah, there's a plan being considered to put a small cafe area space inside the
Oh,
Arts Center.
okay. Like for the concessions,
Something like that,
something like
yeah.
that?
It's just a
Okay.
concept at this point,
All
in
right.
case we do it.
And how old are the ventilation system at that facility? Do you know?
They're original.
So 2204,
Yeah, that'd be about
something like that? It's
2004.
about 10 years old?
Yes.
And they warrant replacement already?
We've come up with a more efficient system.
Oh, cool.
So we're swapping them out. And actually, there might be a secondary market for the units that are in there.
Oh, yeah? Does this new system require us to run both at the same time then? The heating and the air conditioning? To eliminate the
I
moisture?
think it's a combined heating and air conditioning system, I believe, yes.
So no?
So they won't run at the same time. Right.
Heat and the air conditioning will run at the same time.
Okay, so we resolved the floor problem there?
Yes, that's the plan, is to resolve that problem.
Cool. And where is this carport going to be built?
It's at DPW.
Okay, then for a truck or something? Because I can lease my carport out, I'm not using it.
What's the price?
It's cheaper than building a new one. Also, there's something in that first section about preliminary building expenses. Can somebody explain that a little bit in more detail?
Architectural costs. Yeah, I mean, we have money set aside for architectural investigation for upgrades to the municipal complex and
Okay.
the Arts Center.
So we're also
They're
going
both
to,
included in there.
we're also going to borrow money to pay for those expenses?
Yeah, I mean, architectural fees are capital items
Right.
for capital projects.
Okay. Going on to number 2, I was wondering, about the improvements to Porsey Park. Do you know what kind of improvements we're going to do there?
No, we haven't made a decision yet. We have some discussions with the Parsi Park.
The Conservancy?
And we're still trying to determine specifically what project we're going to take on there.
Okay. And there's ball fields at Porsey Park? I don't remember seeing ball fields there.
No, there are not.
Because it says improvements to Porsey Park and resurfacing and restoration of ball
That's
fields.
resurfacing of other baseball fields.
Oh, it's a separate type of thing? It's not included in Porsey Park? Okay. And let's send one over to Ted about the brine system in number 4. How long does that type of system usually last?
Depends how much it's used. Usually 10 years maybe,
Yeah,
from 10 to 15 years
okay.
at least.
And is this one all salted out?
This
Is it-
one,
is it
we're
still-
we're still going to use this one, but we're getting a new system that's going to be more efficient and
Yeah.
make more volume.
More brine?
Yep.
Are we gonna start selling pickles? Pickles and watermelon rind? Also in, I guess in number 5, we're going to buy some vehicles. I see a passenger van listed. I know there's a passenger van parked over at the library for the past couple of years that they were using to shuttle books to all the branches. You might want to consider utilizing that van before.
We're actually talking about putting some drop boxes
Out in the crowd.
around town, and we'll still need the van for that.
Okay, cool. Well, I see a lot of the things that are listed here appear to expire before the time we're done paying it off. Like the air conditioning system only lasted 10 years. It's going to take us 15 years to pay it off, according to this schedule here. And I would think the same thing with the baseball fields, 15 years to pay off resurfacing a baseball field. I think that should be reconsidered a little bit, but I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to, yes, Ms. Brown?
Just a few questions, just with regard to the payoff period. I actually didn't, I'm not familiar with the page it's referring to, but what's the schedule that's expected on this? I know an ordinance is one thing. When do we anticipate actually going out, issuing the debt, and what kind of schedule are we looking at? Is it a 15-year schedule, a 20-year schedule?
When you issue the debt, that depends on when the purchases or the projects are going to be done, and it's something that, once this is in place, I'll work with the department heads to come up with a schedule on that. And we'll initially issue short-term debt, and then what happens is when you go to permanent financing, that usually gets wrapped with other short-term debt that's out there, and your payoff period will be a weighted average of what you're issuing and what the life is left on each of those issues.
Okay. So we're planning on issuing notes first, and at some point moving to bonds for long
Yes.
term. At what point do we do that? Do we do that within a year, or do we issue notes for a few years typically? I mean, what's the
Depends on the
now?
market, it depends on what we have out there, it depends on what we have coming up. You know, it takes in a lot of consideration of all of those factors, and it's something that, you know, I'll look at for this year. This year may not be the year to do it, I might do it next year. It depends
Is
on-
there a requirement to move from notes to bonds at some point definitely? So we
No, it's
could-
not required. You have a
Yeah.
requirement to pay off notes within a certain amount of time, and currently the township does pay down some of the notes that are outstanding. They're not required to be paid off as aggressively as they are, but some of the projects, we try and do that so that we avoid, you know, maybe going out for financing on something that we could pay down, you know, in a shorter amount of time. That, again, goes into the whole planning of the debt issuance.
Okay. Also, regarding the Arts Center, a couple of questions about that. I was wondering who owns that? Is that township owned, or does a nonprofit corporation own that?
Township owns it.
Township? I guess that's about it. Thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to speak to? Yes, Leo.
Leo Christopherly, Middletown. I don't see 2014-31-1-1 in this workshop meeting agenda booklet, so I can't gather any information from, unless it's in here and I can't find it. But to push on, you know that, I should not say ought to know, but I suspect you do know that the school board bonded for about $20 million in anticipation of cash flow from an application that was approved for a state grant of $13 million. They plan to. Thank you. They plan to bond a second time, I don't know when, for another close to $13 million. So we're up to, you know, something like $33 million of bonding, and they of course that.
Leo, I'm so sorry, but that actually doesn't pertain to this ordinance.
What's
This
that?
is the capital, right?
Right.
Right, so we
You
need
gotta
to talk
stick
about
to
that in public.
questions about this.
Right, but you can comment on that in public portion. But the public hearing is just on this specific action.
I'm just giving the impingement on your bonding. It's all about all the money. It's not about the money. It's all about all the money. So I'm just bringing up all the money. You know, every cliche needs to be repaired. So I just simply repaired it, and it just reveals my kind of thinking about my money, how and why my money is being spent. How much does this ordinance for capital budget items will total amount to total? And will it be new issued money? Or is it already authorized but not issued? You know how that goes.
The total ordinance is for 4.7 million.
How much?
4.7 million. The debt issuance is 4.465, and it'll be authorized once this ordinance is adopted. But nothing will be issued until it's needed, and it certainly won't be issued until it's authorized.
And the last question related to that, thank you for that information. If I ask for an amortization of the schedule for paying off this bonded debt, could I get the all the information pertaining to cash in cash amount, not percentage? Is it possible to get all the data on that amortization schedule?
For all the bonds that are currently issued?
Oh, that would be lovely, but
That's in our audit, but that's on our website in our audit, but I can give that to you as well.
so I can get the interest in cash in an amortization?
It's in our, yep, if you look in our audit in the C section, all of our bond issues are laid out there, whatever is remaining. The last audit that's up there is 2012, so it'll be from the end of 2012 till the end of the issues. It's the principal and interest payments.
I'll test that out information through Oprah. Thank you very much.
I don't think you need to Oprah, I mean, you can go on the website and look at it.
No, I'm trying to test it through Oprah. I don't use the computer for that.
Is there
Thank
anyone
you very
else?
much.
Welcome. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to 2014-3111? Seeing no other members of the public wishing to speak to 2014-3111, move to close public portion and adopt.
Second.
Committeeman Fiore?
Yes.
Committeeman Marcel?
Yes.
Committeeman Sharpenberger?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Zanfordino?
Yes.
Mayor Murray?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt ordinance 2014-3111. Next on the agenda is the introduction of ordinance 2014-3112, an ordinance amending solid waste and recycling fees for mulch loading and delivery services to be held over for public hearing and final consideration on July 21st. May I have a motion to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
Committeeman Fiore?
Yes.
Committeeman Massell?
Yes.
Committeeman Sharpenberger?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Zanfordino?
Yes.
Mayor Murray? Yes. Motion carries to introduce ordinance 2014-3112 with a public hearing scheduled for July 21st. Next on the agenda, we have a consent agenda which will include resolution 14-183 through 14-195. May I have a motion to approve?
We want to pull a few of these out here. We're going to pull, Mayor, if you may request, you pull 191 and 192. For separate votes, and I think that should.
So it would be resolution 183 through 191 and 193 through 195 for the consent.
Through 190. Are you
Right,
putting
she
91 and
wants to go
90?
back again to 193, to 195.
Right.
And leave out
182 to
No,
1,
the payment of bills
183 to
is separately.
190.
so 183 to 190,
Right.
Considering.
and 193.
And then 193 to 195.
What he said.
May I have a motion for the consent agenda? Committeeman Fiore?
Yes.
Committeeman Massell?
Yes.
Committeeman Sharpenberger?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sedambrino?
Yes.
And Mayor Murray?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt consent agenda as revised. Next, we have a motion to adopt resolution 14-182, payment of bills for July 7, 2014.
Pay the bills, so
Committeeman Fiore?
yes.
Committeeman Massell?
Yes.
Committeeman Sharpenberger?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sedambrino?
Yes.
Mayor Murray?
Yes.
Next, may I have a motion to adopt resolution 14-191, resolution authorizing and certifying compensated absence payment upon retirement of the chief of police.
So moved.
Second.
Committeeman Fiore?
Yes, with comments.
Committeeman Massell?
Yes.
Committeeman Sharpenberger?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sedambrino?
Yes.
And Mayor Murray?
Yes, with comment.
You may go first.
Thank you, Mayor. I vote for this resolution because legally and contractually, I'm forced to vote for this resolution. And the comments that I'm going to make should not be construed as any negative reflection towards Chief Oakes, but should be construed as a negative reflection towards the current system that we live in, that governing bodies like ourselves here in Middletown are forced to continually have to pass in resolution format. So this resolution that I vote yes to should be, for the record, at least in my opinion, and my vote, should be given because I authorize the validation of the CFO's findings and contractually, at the risk of the township being sued for money that was grandfathered pre-1996 and pre-probably dating the day that I was born, that we have to continue to allow in terms of unused sick and vacation time payments. A few years ago, I don't recall, I was fading a little as I served more years, but whether it's 2009 or 2010, I believe we had about $1 million in retirements that we had to, it was 2010, thank you, Mr. Mercantante, where we had to pay over $1 million in unused sick and vacation time for other police personnel, deputy chiefs that all retired at the same time. And our liability will continue because despite this governing body's best effort in 2011 to try to cap unused sick and vacation time at a dollar cap, we do have a day cap that the Township Committee of 1996 was able to negotiate, but obviously there are employees such as Chief Oakes who predate that or were grandfathered past that negotiation. So despite our best efforts and best efforts of many municipalities who have tried to negotiate a dollar cap, it just continues to not happen, which is why you'll see the next resolution. Mayor, I apologize, I'm stealing any of your thunder, but you'll see the next resolution, which again pleads with Mr. Sweeney and the legislature to take action on a bill that would put a dollar cap, because my issues are many with this, notwithstanding the fact that it's unsustainable, notwithstanding the fact that a day in 1975, 1 year before I was born, probably almost two, because I was born in December, a day is being paid at 2014 rates, potentially. And that's wrong, because we're not allowed to have an accounting or a forensic audit to show when the day actually was accrued. We're paying at the last salary with longevity, so you're paying basically on $176,000 or $167,000, if I have my numbers wrong, what a day cost here versus a day in 1980 when a salary could have been 30-some thousand. So again, that's nothing that this governing body can do anything about. That's what the state would have to do, but it's something that doesn't make me happy to have to vote for such benefits. Again, I mentioned it's unsustainable. Again, I mentioned that the governing bodies and, the next resolution be said. I won't comment again on the next resolution for the sake of everybody having to hear me twice. But
Thank you.
this is unsustainable. You read about pensions, we're paying pensions, and you know what? I believe that pension payments are required. I believe they're necessary. I believe that they're promissory, and they should be made in full. But the fact that we're not only paying pensions, we're not only paying benefits, but we're paying potentially $100,000 additionally in unused time, more than the average person can save in their own 401k plan. The average savings is about $155,000 for a retiree at 55, so let's call it $165 at 60, and we're paying almost $100,000 more than unused sick and vacation time. That, ladies and gentlemen, is unsustainable for Middletown, it's unsustainable for the state of New Jersey, and it costs you about 1% almost to protect it. With that, Mayor, I appreciate the floor tonight. Thank you.
I'm just going to echo Committee Fury's comments. I totally agree with him, and not to beat a dead horse. This is not remark anything personal about the chief and his 40 years of service to the town. I just find it very disconcerting that the TC and I are forced to vote on a resolution that the money is already legally owed by the law, and the law requires us to take a vote on this, and it's just very disconcerting and it's wrong. In this particular case, as Committeeman Fury mentioned, some of this time has been accruing at present rates from time from before some of us were even born, it's a broken system, and this yes vote that we took tonight is in no way a tacit agreement for this broken system that is unsustainable, and it needs to be corrected. So I'll leave it at that. I think you did a very good job at expressing
Safe for a rainy
what I
day.
think all of us at this table. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is Resolution 14-192, resolution calling for legislative action to eliminate or cap payments for unused sick and vacation time. May I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
Second.
Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Massell.
Yes.
Committeeman Sharpenberger.
Yes, with a quick comment.
Deputy Mayor Sedambrino.
Yes, with comment.
And Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Dr. Sharpenberger.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, that I agree with everything that Committeeman Fiore and the mayor said. And this is something that the governor has been fighting for since he was elected. And something's got to give. Towns cannot afford these six-figure payouts year after year after year, and come in under a 2% property tax cap, and residents can't afford to pay anymore to accommodate these huge payouts. So something's got to give. I think we're at the tipping point, and I'm hoping the governor can finally get through to the legislature how important this is to the folks on the ground. It's not a Republican thing, it's not a Democrat thing, it's everybody. And that's all.
Thank you, Mayor. The only comment that I'll make with regard to this resolution, in addition to agreeing with the comments that we've heard already, is that when we look to the private sector and you look to unused sick and vacation time without any cap, it's not sustainable by private sector companies. It's not sustainable with annual revenue projections. And it's something that it can't be anticipated and it can't be planned for. And it doesn't work for the private sector. I don't know how it could possibly work for the public sector, but for the fact that revenues are promised via taxes on an annual basis, but they don't equal the amount of payouts that need to happen, nor can be accommodated. And as Committeeman Fiore mentioned, it's unsustainable. And if you were to impose something of this nature on the private sector, you would wipe out business after business after business. So that's all I'll say for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the Township Committee acting as the ABC issuing authority. Resolution 14-196, a resolution authorizing the renewal of liquor license number 1331-333-025-013. Committeeman Fiore.
Yes.
Committeeman Massell.
Yes.
Committeeman Sharpenberger.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sedambrino.
Yes.
Mayor Murray. Yes. Resolution passes. Okay, the first item on the agenda for discussion for July 21st, we have certificate of appreciation / proclamations. We'll have administration of oath of new police officers. And secondly, we will have a life-saving award presented to Arthur Watkins of the Public Works Department. Item number 2 will be approval of minutes for April and May of 2014. Public hearing on ordinances. We have ordinance 2014-3110, an ordinance establishing mandatory direct deposit. And included in the public hearing will be the ordinance that was introduced this evening, which was 2014-3112. We would have our consent agenda, and lastly, item number 6 will be the discussion items. And the first one, item A, is the software upgrade for the health department.
This system that we're purchasing, the biggest aspect of it is it links the health department, building department who have to coordinate a lot on their applications, particularly food handling and restaurants, things like that.
But the best part of it is that it will enhance our ability to serve the public by giving them internet access, so they can pay for permits and licenses online now. So it'll reduce administrative staff time, reduce mail, reduce having people come in for, very minor things. They can do it all online, so it'll be significant improvement to service the public gets now.
This is also one of the things that we were talking about with having the tablet, if say a lost dog was found, that they would be able to, the worker would be able to log into the system and be able to ascertain the address
Yeah.
without having to
That can
bring
be
the dog all the way
integrated
down.
into this,
Great, great. Good.
Item B is the amendment of the personnel manual.
I've already forwarded all of you these new amendments. Most of them come from the municipal excess liability. Jeff, who's our excess carrier. They're just legal changes for cases that have happened over the past couple of years. Some of them are codifying policies that we have been following, but we're putting them in writing now so people are very clear on what they have to follow. And a few of them are just some new additions. For example, we have a new video surveillance policy, again suggested by the MEL, because we do have cameras everywhere. A GPS surveillance policy, because we now added GPS to our vehicles, and similar things. So it's mostly common sense and some basic legal upgrades. If you have any questions when you work with me, please give me a call. If you have suggested changes, please let me know that too.
I just have one question.
Sure.
And we can discuss it further, so I won't spend much time. But and I apologize, I read it briefly, and I'm sure I'll have more questions before the action's taken next meeting. But with respect to the policy on different types of municipally owned things, so municipally owned, let's call it electronics or lack of a better term,
systems, yeah.
systems. So
Right.
we'll call it email, we'll call it municipal cell phones, municipal, websites and things of that nature. Does the policy also include that, all email and websites and everything are the ownership of the municipality, and that
Yes.
the municipality reserves the right to
Yeah, the policy.
monitor, terminate, under
The policy is very clear that township-owned systems, and that's what we call it.
Township-owned
Whether it's
systems.
tablets or your PC or your cell phone, there's no legal expectation of privacy on the part of the employee when it comes to those devices. Now, there are some court cases that may, the language we've taken is strictly from the MEL. So there may be some court cases that are out there that may hamper that, limit that somewhat, but we're telling people that they have no expectation of privacy in stuff that we own, that the town owns. And to be very cautious as to what they load or put or say or do with the township systems.
my only question. I'm sure I have something for you to ask.
Yeah, Jim, same thing for me. I read through it quickly.
Mhm.
I did read the whole thing. And I think it's pretty comprehensive. There may have been a couple of things that I was waiting to see and didn't, maybe when it comes to vehicles or something like that. So should we put suggestions?
Oh, sure, yeah, we can, I've
section?
got it, it's on my list. Anything that you want to see in there between now and next time, you can let me know, we'll put it in and we'll send it around to everyone to make sure everybody sees it.
Okay.
So then when we vote on it next time, we'll approve it as a whole.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
Next item C is traffic line striping for the Department of Public Works.
We will soon be advertising for bids, painting roadway lines, center lines, crosswalks, stop bars, that kind of thing. It's an annual project.
And item D, under the discussion, is the local level tax assessor legislation.
I can discuss this. The tax assessor requested that the governing body consider a resolution regarding opposing certain legislation proposed that would put all of the assessment functions at the county level rather than the municipal level. As you are likely aware, of course, in the last 2 years we started a program known as the Monmouth Assessment Pilot generally, whereby a number of the functions, assessing functions, are now part of a shared service, like the Mod 4 system and things of that nature. So we all the municipalities in the county operate under the same system through the vendors provided in the county and so forth. But that one of the part of the genesis of the Monmouth assessment pilot was that municipalities, if you still have to handle the expense side of the ledger, need to be able to control the revenue side of the ledger. If the municipality loses control over the manner in which property tax appeals and so forth are settled, the timing of those, the crediting of those, and all those aspects, and when refunds are made and so forth, it can cause major financial turmoil for municipalities with respect to your just general day-to-day operations and your budget and so forth. That absent the county overtaking all municipal services doesn't really make sense. There's also issues with respect to just local knowledge and assessment community and so forth as to different communities, especially in a place as large as Middletown, as to valuations that are completed and the volume by which inspections can be done and so forth. One of the other components of the Monmouth assessment pilot was expediting the dates for the filing appeals so that you know the time at which you expect your budget, at least where you're standing with respect to the county appeals, and then and just maintaining some control and soundness over that process for budgeting purposes, as well as just establishing more uniformity in procedure and timing for the settlement of appeals, so that you don't get hit with making as many refunds as you have in the past, which you all recall require not just the refund of the 20% municipal portion of the property tax bill collected, but also the remaining part of the tax bill, the majority of which goes to the school district that gets refunded out of the municipal budget, with no reimbursement being made back from the schools, because usually that thing is already expended at that time. So this resolution would simply call for the continuation and completion of the Monmouth assessment program over the period that's provided for under that legislation to allow the results to demonstrate the savings achieved at the municipal level, the county level. So it's kind of a partial shared service of the components that we believe that make sense, sharing services such as the technology and so forth. There's more mechanical components of the assessment process while maintaining the local assessor, in many cases are shared between many municipalities as well, so that you don't lose control over the revenue side of the ledger and you have to still manage the expense side.
I mean, I would definitely want to entertain that resolution. I mean, we're the 16th largest municipality in the state, we're the first in the county, and I'm not comfortable with someone taking away that responsibility from us. I think that we know our town well enough, and no offense to the county, but I think that that's a responsibility that should not be taken away from the township, from the municipality, not a municipality our size. Anybody else? No?
Definitely agree.
All righty.
You want this on for the 21st?
Yeah. Thanks.
Next, any other discussion items? We have the township committee comments. Okay. Committee Michelle, anything tonight?
Just, I'll leave it to you, Mayor, but 350 time capsule was an awesome day, and I just want to comment on that. What a great event it was to be involved with, and there's a lot to say about it on the event here.
I'm going to save that.
Well,
Yeah, I'll make it brief, but I have to say something about the 350 Gala and the parade and the time capsule. It was magnificent. Everybody cooperated. The weather was perfect, and the mayor did a fantastic job of hosting the day. Her speech was extraordinarily well written and delivered. It was great. And even the men behind the horses, the buckets were empty. So everyone cooperated. So it was really a great day, and really something to be proud of. And thousands of people along the way were giving us the high five. And, it was just really a great thing, and I can't wait for 400.
Oh, boy.
That's it.
400.
100th, I probably will ask for a car instead of a march. But thank you,
Right.
Mayor, and I echo this sentiment. So both my colleagues with respect to what a great 350 weekend this township had, and may I add, a much better birthday celebration in the state of New Jersey, which had it that Tuesday after. So kudos to everyone in town who really made it such a great day to celebrate our wonderful and fantastic community. The only comments that I'm going to make briefly, while I'm not going to belabor what I said earlier, but a lot of what you read about the pension issue in Trenton, and obviously it's a very political and partisan issue, and you have one side of the aisle saying make the full pension payments, but they do nothing in this legislation that we talked about with our resolution. From the other side, who didn't make the complete pension payment, who say do something on this, which didn't. So, it's very disappointing to see, that the forward-looking prospects look a lot more like Washington than Trenton, and it's going down that path, and we're going down this unsustainable path. But, what I will say with regards to pensions, and Colleen, you can probably give me a better answer, but every year the municipality, let the record reflect, because I think that there's a lot of miscommunication, but we make our pension payment every single year. This year it was 12 million, I don't remember what the number was, between PRFS and
It
PERS.
was, between both of them, it was over
4 million. So we pay our, we get a bill from the state every year, the library gets a bill, which.
We can't skip a year.
We can't skip a year, with the exception of 2009, which Governor Corzine forced us to skip a year, or he would not certify our budget in 2009. So, I think there's a lot of misconception to the public out there that, these pensions are not being paid, that the municipalities are the ones not paying them. We are paying this money. It is unfortunate that this money is being taken in Trenton and spent on other things. And that's what's happening with the pension obligation. I mean, the money is being paid from our perspective. Whether they're paying for the state employees, I have no idea. But our money is being paid. Whether that's actually being invested in the way it's supposed to, well, I can't blame the governor, when unfortunately, they won't pass spending bills with spending cuts for, urban cities and urban areas and things of that nature. But something has to be done, and some heads need to either roll, or cooler heads need to prevail, or this state is going to, as a pension person by trade, this state is going to be on a path of no return. And I think it was the mayor who told me that next year, when she went to a bill signing in Trenton, that next year will be the first year in the state of New Jersey where we actually pay more in our budget towards retirees than current employees. So people are living longer, and people are longevity increases, obligations increase, and unfortunately our elected leaders, a step or two ahead of us, are not taking this problem at hand. And I would only hope that they will take this resolution to heart and do something that would be meaningful for taxpayers for once. And the only other thing I would like to say is with regards to an issue that we see when we talk about the economy, and I think Middletown does probably a better job than most of the towns, which is vacant properties when people leave, abandon their houses and properties. And I think we've had a kind of a glut of them post-2008, where you get the 4-foot-high grass. And kudos to the administration for finding a way to get the banks to actually respond and take care of their bank-owned properties. Now, sometimes, unfortunately, our best efforts are not able to still yield results. So I didn't bring it up in a discussion item, but I would love for the committee to discuss potential action as we do similar to the brush and leaf collection, which has done, in my view, a tremendous job making the town look cleaner with compliance. Some way that we can force compliance, whether it's us and putting liens on property to keep grass from being 8 feet high, and sometimes you have broken fences around pools, and you have some dangerous situations, abandoned houses that can occur. I just think we're doing a fantastic job, but maybe we could even do better if we have something with more team that the governing body gives the administration at their disposal. So That's all I have tonight, Mayor. Thank you for my long-winded two speeches.
Thank you, Committeeman Fiore. I'm going to save most of my comments for the next meeting on the 21st, in particularly,
Kevin.
oh my goodness, Kevin, I'm so sorry.
Because I talked.
Deputy Mayor, sorry about that.
Thank you, Mayor, I appreciate that.
I'm so
With the,
sorry.
Without being redundant, I echo the sentiments of my colleagues on the committee with regard to your hard work at the 350 event. It was a great event. Kudos to your office and the administration for pulling that together. It doesn't happen all that often, so thank you very much for your leadership on that. With that, I will further rest my comments to the next meeting. Thank you.
Sorry. Again, I'm going to save most of my 350 comments for the next meeting, but suffice to say, there was a lot of volunteer hours and a lot of goodwill, and I'd just like to give everybody a great big thank you, and also a great big thank you to the community. It was a really good weekend, and everybody was really happy, and it's good to feel good about something. The only other thing I did want to mention was something with the bond that we were talking about a little bit earlier. The capital. We did the bond ordinance for the capital. I just wanted to remark on how pleased I am that the upgrade to the radio system for the police, fire, EMS, and the OEM is in there. And that's it. So, that being said, I think we're going to move on to public portion. So, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Rich Cicero. I live on 21 Maple Street in Middletown. Been living there for 20 years now, and the road has never been paved. My wife sent some pictures to the committee, whoever, and like the next day, it was great. They came out and they patched up some of the holes, because you can't even drive down the block without, hitting the potholes in your car. So they did that, but unfortunately those patches are not going to last once the winter and the fall comes. And I would just like the committee to consider, maybe paving that whole block on Maple Street in Portland Army. And sometime, I've been there 20 years and it's still the same as it's been.
It's actually on the list for next year.
Appreciate it.
That's what they've
Actually,
done
for this
tonight.
year, for this year.
It's for this year, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes, Leo.
I just want to support Tony Fiore and Sexton-Reno in their speaking on this money matter. I'd like to point out further that the February 17th, the school board was hit from the New Jersey Department of Pensions and Benefits with a bill, I think, of $5.4 million for operating outside of state laws and giving an increase in pensions and benefits as an incentive to teachers to retire earlier than they might have. Along with that, $5.4 million. This is in that area of pension amounts that the taxpayers cannot afford. It's not affordable. I can't pay it, and if I can pay it, I don't want to pay it. Not that amount. I could give some examples, but I think this township was similarly billed by the same New Jersey Division of Pensions and Benefits to $300,000. I think similarly from the year 2007, 2008, but that's a guess. So we've been hit with I don't know why this is an encumbrance, an obligation that has to be paid contractually. Otherwise we jeopardize ourselves with the conviction and some kind of fine, and probably in addition of I don't know, interest. I'd like to ask one question, although maybe you don't have to ask one question. And with this, I see where you, that you, let me back up. Do you send these 31, what is it, the two resolutions pertaining to the cap on pensions and interest arbitration? Do you send these resolutions to the freeholders in Monmouth County?
Yeah.
And we also send them to surrounding towns as well.
I will ask for a request of those copies, and if you send them, they probably have them, and I intend to speak about that over at the freeholders, and then maybe they have to get your resolution out in some form to the other 52 townships, so they themselves speak to this issue, to the same Assembly and Senate and Governor, so that we have 53 townships speaking with one voice on this matter. Rally the troops.
Leo, I just want to let you know that we can send this to every clerk in the state. It doesn't have to be just the county. This is really not just a Monmouth County issue. This is a statewide issue. This affects, Warren County, Cape May, everybody the same as it does.
Oh, the word's out then? You say the word's out?
Well, no, this is the kind of thing that's not just limited to Monmouth. So it could go to every...
Well, I understand that. It's a whole state. This battle's been fought out in Wisconsin and Minnesota, wherever. And the public sector unions were unhappily saddened with the outcome of it. I was happy, to tell you the truth. May I just add one other fact? The Social Security benefits for full-time workers, all-time, is probably under $14,000 a year. So when you start looking numbers, and when the Medicare, out of that $14,000, they take about $1,300 for Medicare. And then Obama took $750 billion for the next 10 years, so he could get the Obamacare under, I think, $10 trillion over 10 years. So it's all about all the money.
Thanks, Leo. Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Yes.
Carolyn Schwabel, Hamilton Avenue in Leonardo. First, I just wanted to make some respectful comments about Chief Oaks, because I've known him for about 20 years and he's been very cooperative, especially in human relations. He worked for the county commission, did a performance, and whatever we called on him, he came through very carefully and promptly. So I'm just sorry that there's some reservations about paying his well-earned finances. I think he earns it, and so does the other guys in that
There were no
position.
reservations, as I said in my comments, about anything to do with
I understand that, but I'm sorry that you were saying that there are some reservations. I know you feel he's a good guy, but I just had to put that in because he has been a good guy. In the last couple of meetings, or sometimes, there seems to be some confusion about public comments and what the public can say, and particularly the last meeting. So I just had a couple of definitions from William Carnes, who was the general counsel for the League of Municipalities, and maybe some of you had training with him with some of your initial ethics stuff. But one is public business means and includes all matters which relate in any way, directly or indirectly, to the performance of the public body functions or the conduct of its business. And under public comment, what is allowable or whatever, it says public comment is for any government issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the municipality. I've been shut down a few times. But I just wanted to let you know that I was trying to work it out, but I filed today denial of complaint, a denial complaint with the Government Records Council because there was the improper use of redaction and attorney-client privilege. It was never explained, and they're supposed to explain it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to make a public comment? Yes, Ms. Bowne.
Just a couple of things. Just like to echo what Dr. Schwabel was saying with regard, Lynch Baum, 19 May Court. I'd like to echo what Dr. Schwabel was saying with regard to the very broad definition of what is considered, I guess, public business, or what the topics that the public can bring up during public comment, because there's been some limitation with regard to that in the past when people were speaking. So I think it's really, there's a lot that falls under that umbrella. The other comment that I have is something that I brought up in the past, something I've been following up on quite a bit, and it has to do with the announcement at the public forum, the Economic Development Public Forum at the MAC last October. And Dr. Scharfenberger announced there would be this survey of businesses, and I've been following up on that periodically. And the last time I asked about it, Dr. Scharfenberger, the last thing you said was that it was expected to go out at sometime in June. Did it? And what is the status right now? Have we decided not to do that?
It's going out this week.
It's going out to just, okay. All right, to just all businesses in town? Okay. And when do you anticipate receiving responses? When have you asked for responses back? And when do you anticipate compiling the data?
We're probably going to ask for like about a 60-day turnaround, just to give people plenty of time. And we're also trying to work out a way to make an online version so people can, if they prefer to do it electronically rather than mail back something.
All right, but the comment was just made that it's expected to go out this week, and now you're saying, so that's something that would delay it if
No,
you're
it
going to
wouldn't.
do
No.
an online type thing?
No, it wouldn't. No, that would delay it.
Okay, so it's like as a paper version, are you sending it by email?
We're sending out a paper survey.
email?
Yes. We will then post, we'll advise people that we'll be creating an online option so that if they don't want to mail back their response, they can do it online instead. But some may choose to just mail it back.
All right, sometime after that. Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Yes.
John Schwabel, Hamilton Avenue, Leonardo. I wanted to make a comment about the sick time and vacation time issues. Sick leave, I guess, I have my own views on that, so I won't speak about that. But as far as the vacation time goes, the solution for that might be to force the people to take the vacation in the year or the 2 years. I think somebody was talking about private industry. In most cases, they force them to take the vacation time in like a 2-year period or something like that.
Same thing. That's the way it works.
But, I mean, if they were forced to take the vacation...
It's the sick time, that's the issue.
It's the sick time issue. All they get is a maximum 2 years worth of vacation.
But that's a vacation time.
It does, but the sick time is the one that is the...
It's both, but the sick time is the one that balloons to a huge amount.
Okay, so they have to take the vacation?
Yes.
So there's no huge payments for vacation?
We can only accrue up to 1 full year.
I guess that answers my comment.
Is anybody else interested in speaking? Okay, seeing no other members of the public wishing to speak, I move to close the public portion and adjourn.
Second.
That was last year.